Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Look, we getting going. We're talking before we hop in and have this conversation with you all. But first of all, I'm just as excited for everyone. I'm excited to have you all join us this morning, July 15th. And we are in BIPOC Mental Health Awareness Month. And, I'm excited just to have this discussion with Aisha, our VP of Marketing at Jump Recruits, and excited to just, really just share with you all a little bit more about kind of, you know, the topic, mental health awareness around, as well as, maybe a couple of personal things. We'll see. I'm already probably out of line, so I'm gonna let Aisha take it from here and we'll get started.
Okay, thanks, Cedric. Yeah, just wanted to kick things off by saying with our minority grind today, our discussion is really focused and centered around the month of July being Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Mental Health Awareness Month, or BIPOC for short. So we really just wanted to kind of have this discussion and help bring a little bit more attention and awareness around why is it that Black, Indigenous, and people of color have their own mental health month? What is it that, let's just kind of talk through a little bit of experiences, challenges, things we've witnessed from others or among ourselves, and then kind of take it a step further to see like what can we do in this month and beyond that. So, with that being said, thank you, Cedric, for kind of bringing this coming together, and
Yeah.
really curious and interested to get your perspective around this National Minority Mental Health Month, and kind
Yeah.
of learn a little bit more about your experiences or things that you've witnessed in your close community when it comes to facing mental health challenges. How have I guess to start with is how do you start with even just recognizing or supporting that?
Yeah, yeah. I will first actually first let me just, thank you, Aisha, for just giving that overview and that just kind of the breakdown there. You know what? When I think about the month and I think about just, everything that's kind of going on, if I'm just being transparent here, I probably didn't realize this was like a month until probably a couple of years ago. And
Mhm.
so when I think about like we're in this month of July, BIPOC mental aware health awareness. I think about it, it wasn't a discussion. It wasn't something that, I just routinely heard. Like not even that, not the mental health aspect, but then like you have this month, you have this time that's kind of dedicated to recognizing, July, for me has always been, hey, it's
Mhm.
31 days. We're gonna read Proverbs every day in the Bible because it's 31, and we're gonna, do these different things, right? For the
Yeah.
month. But it wasn't one of those things to where, I, saw mental health awareness right on a regular basis growing up. And so when I think about the month now and I think about just kind of what it all entails and really just taking the time to kind of sit back, not only learn more about the overarching umbrella of what all goes under mental health and how it impacts the different lives, but then also it provides kind of that almost that push to kind of say, what am I doing for myself? Like, what am I doing to make sure that, I am taking care of the one body that I have, the one mind that I have, and making sure that, I show up the way that I want to show up and be able to, deal with situations the way that I should in a healthy manner, right? So
Mhm.
this is a very, very, important month for me now. And even outside of this month, right, it's something that, you know, um, I've been beginning to work a muscle in to just start more and more recognizing more and more around just understanding what's going on. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to just, go deeper into the discussion, but also, sharing the resources around it because there's just so much that we have to kind of get into and talk about and really kind of peel back the proverbial onion here,
Yeah.
so that we can start to learn more about ourselves and how we kind of work through, some of these challenges that we have.
Right, right. 100%. I agree with you. So when we talk about mental health on an individual level, I know it's so personal, and
Mhm.
I feel like only recently, like what you said when you just realized about this month, having, for people of color having their own mental health month. I think what's the one silver lining out of COVID is people really needed to find community because mental health took
Yes.
a huge hit during COVID.
Yes.
And I can speak on that for me and for people close to me. You know, being stuck in the house can really do a number on you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then to just really start talking about it, start, like I said, recognizing like, oh man, you know, like I need sunshine or I need fresh
Yeah.
air. Just really basic needs for a human being to thrive, or you
Yeah.
know, to function. So so tell me, for you, like what are some of the basic necessities to kind of just keep your mental health at like a really solid level, you know, when it starts to dip.
Yeah. So I tell you this. I am a about 3 years ago. No, actually, a little bit more than that. I would say 5 to 6. Matter of fact, I got into meditation, and
Okay.
I got into it by using the app Headspace. No ties to a promotion there, unless you want to talk Headspace.
I thought you were gonna say the Calm app. Calm app is a good one too.
That no, so that one's good too. I got another
Yeah.
story about Calm, but I might can't share because they might take it away. But yeah, I started using Headspace, and I started to go through those sessions. I believe it's Andy, right? Good old Andy. And it was like kind of the first step for me. And I actually started it as I was kind of going down this entrepreneurial route, so that I could be able to help with stress. And this is the kind of one of the first thing I kind of recognized was that, as I was going in and I was starting a business, and I was dealing with kind of more and more of, I go do my day work, my day job, and work on Jump and do all of that. The
Right.
stress and anxiety and just the pressure began to build up. And so I
Yeah.
started to figure out, see if kind of what can this meditation do for me? What can I do by, just pausing, just stopping for a moment,
Right.
being able to collect myself, collect my breaths. And it was something that I did, and I continue to do, not as often, but I continue to do. But the one thing it allowed me to do was just start to recognize how I was feeling and why I was feeling in a certain way.
Yeah.
Um, the one thing that I would say that um it really helped with was like in the moment type of situations, right? Very like deeply in the moment, as well as and I'm a novice meditator, so I'm not deep into it like that. But it helped me with a lot of
More
stuff
of
that
a
I go
beginner
through in
than
a
you are.
moment. Yeah, it was one of those things that helped me when I was go through things in a moment, and then I would shut down, or it would be so much that my mind would just be like, "Nah, I can't. I'm done." Right.
Mhm.
As I begin to kind of work through and start to understand these emotions and understand these feelings, I really just went deeper and deeper into gospel music, into calming. Like I got a playlist on my iPhone right now, to where it's called calming music. It's something that I
Yeah.
listen to when things are tough, when things are tight, when I need to really just see and hear different perspectives and get my mind kind of moving and going. And so I
Yeah.
know you think we talked about it, right? Gregory Porter, who
Yes.
I can listen to him, all
Me
day, or
too.
we listen to Alexis French, who is a jazz
Yeah.
pianist, classical pianist, listening to some of these other, Toby Nwigwe, like I, just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
listening to some of this music and some of the rhythms, and that just allows me to be able to just take a deep breath, calm, and catch myself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's interesting you say that. I just wanted to jump in real quick
yeah.
about music being so therapeutic and calming. Like we were just
Hmm.
saying, Gregory Porter jazz to start off your day. And it's interesting because how did jazz originate? Like a lot of music, like jazz and blues and everything,
Yeah.
has that origin from the Black community. So
Yeah.
it's interesting because it ties back to a point I was going to make later on, which is the best resources for people of color have been from people of color to
Mm,
be able to
I
kind of
like that.
support that mental health journey. Yeah, I just came
I
up with
like
that.
that. I'm gonna take
What
that.
about you?
Look, quote by way of Aisha.
Yeah,
No, this is, yeah. It's a I would say this. So you're right. Music, and we just got out of Black Music Month. Just
yeah, that's
passed, right?
true.
And so the music is a big piece. Being able to really um reassure myself that I am equipped, right? One of the things that, when I started to really kind of understand myself, even with the app and going through and doing the meditation, was that
Mhm.
I really found out that I was in many situations to where deep down I didn't feel adequate.
Mm.
And there were elements to where I would show up in a room knowing that, this is the work, this is my practitioner. I'm the, probably the most knowledgeable in this particular space. I am, I come into these situations of individuals most, don't look like me.
Yeah.
And then when you get asked a question, right, I would just shut down. Like I would go into this
Yeah.
space to where like get nervous, heart pumping, hands sweating, like because it was just like I didn't feel like deep down I should have been in that room. Now, is that the case?
Mhm.
No, because I was in there and I should have been, but it's that feeling,
Mhm.
right? It's that feeling of, experiences growing up and how I felt in certain places, in certain situations, to where that
Mhm.
feeling of not enough, right, kind of is in the back of my mind, but it doesn't. It only
Yeah.
shows itself at certain times, right?
Right,
So,
right. I get that.
and that's the tough piece, right? Is that when I'm dealing with, for me personally, when I'm dealing with the mental health side of things, is that a lot of times it's something that I've dealt with in many
Yeah.
cases, but then it'll like kind of come back, right? It'll like
It's
flash and
yeah,
it'll
of course, reoccurring. It's not a one and
hmm
done. So how do you push through
yeah,
that in those moments? Because, I mean, you're a successful founder, a CEO, a father. You have so many different kinda titles
yeah,
on your shoulders. How do you push through when you're kind of feeling those that weight? What's your
yeah.
best advice to be like, how did you pull yourself through?
Best advice. So I'm be honest with you. So this has evolved. This has evolved. When I first started down this journey, the only way I knew how to deal with it was to suppress it.
Okay.
And that was everything that I did growing up.
Push
And I
through.
took it into the adult life, was like, hey, can't do nothing about it, get over it, let's keep going, or, try to not think of it, right? And that was kind of how I kind of dealt with it, in the beginning.
Mhm.
As I, kind of grew, I got to this place of release. Now, this is not the perfect place, and it's
Mhm.
not where I'm at now, but I got to this next stage of release. And what did that mean? That mean that when I started to suppress it, and I knew it was at a point where it was just unbearable.
Yeah.
What I would have to do, and this is just me, two things. I would either like go outside and just scream at the top of my lungs because I just felt like I had to get it
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
um, or I would, to a certain extent, force myself to cry
Okay.
because I felt like it was just so much that was like balled up inside of me, and all I wanted to do was just like get it
Release
out.
it.
And I
Yeah.
was just trying to figure out like how to get it out. This is how kind of my mind said this is how we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with it by either not thinking about it, and if we just can't not think about it, we got to
Yeah.
get it out another way. And that was how I dealt with it for a while. Like, um, as I kind of transitioned and grew, it went to how do I understand, from a spiritual perspective, as well as from a deeper relationship, right? Um, not only with my family, my wife, and some
Mhm.
very very close friends that I have who I can speak to and really just kind of vent, but then also just that
Mhm.
relationship with God and just continuing to understand, um, what does it mean to have a sound mind? To really dig
Mhm.
deep into what does it mean, to really give your worries to God, right? And to really just go down that path to understanding I am carrying something that I shouldn't be carrying. And I've been doing it for a long time. And so, one for me is something that I need to hand over to a higher power. But then also is something that um, I need to have more healthier conversations, right, about it, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
I've gone down the path of having some conversation with some friends that are in the therapy space, and have
Yeah.
gone down that path of talking with them and understanding kind of more around what it is that they're doing, the ways in which we can get help. But to be honest, when it comes to like the therapy from a psychology perspective, it's
Yeah.
something that I will do and ultimately going to do. But it's one of those situations that I've seen more and more is that it has to come through a referral.
Right.
And I think it's one of the tough things about doing like therapy is that, you know, to just go and start having a conversation with anybody can be a tough thing. You don't know them.
Right.
I noticed the relationship client, therapist relationship, but I don't know you. So opening up to you is still
Right.
probably going to give me this sense of like a wall in between me,
Right.
having that discussion. And
Right.
so what I've seen, even for individuals that I speak to, it's like, hey, I'm listening. I can hear what you're saying. There's some things I can give you some of my thoughts
Right.
on. There's some things that I can't. And so what I'll then do is I'll refer them to some of the friends that I have that, hey, they can get you and connect you with somebody who could really help with this. Because I know that to just say, go to Google, type in need, mental health,
Yeah.
I need some therapy, is something that's not going to happen.
It almost becomes
And
overwhelming too, like,
it is,
as
right?
easily accessible as resources are now more than ever,
Yeah.
gone are the days of the phone book and the newspaper, but it's still overwhelming when you do a Google search for mental health providers.
Yeah. And you gotta trust the person that you're in,
Yeah.
right? Trust when it comes to mental health and it comes to really solving and,
Mhm.
and, and getting through some of these things. It's trust. Trust is a
Yeah,
heavy element of it. And
100%,
you
yeah.
have to be able to trust the people that you're speaking to, trust,
Yeah.
their confidence and keeping this confidential. And it's so many different elements that you have to
Right.
be able to kind of get through before you get to that level of really sharing. Because look, it's some things out here that you
Yeah.
know, it's tough, right? When people start
Right.
sharing it, even for myself, you know, thinking back on, just overall life and just overall,
Yeah.
how we've grown up and how I've dealt with these things it's tough. It's
Oh, yeah.
tough.
It is.
It's
It
tough.
all connects back together in the sense of, even with this month, empathy of you don't know what someone's going through. You don't know what their struggles are. You don't know what they came from and what their triggers are for
Yeah.
by any means. But I feel like the underlying tone I'm getting from this is you just have to try. Like if you don't feel right, you have to just try. Just try anything. Try, like you said, talking to someone or getting a referral, getting a connection, getting a piece of advice. You just have to try, and even just for yourself, like the biggest investment we all know is for ourselves, and mental health affects physical health. It affects all of our interactions, but
Yep.
I've realized it too. You can't just you can't just hide in the bedroom and close it off. You have to just get out there and try.
Yeah, yeah. And it's
Outside.
more just to add on to that, once again, I am going through that process now. Like, and
Yeah.
just being transparent, I'm going through the process now of, you know, finding, a therapist. I've had some unofficial ones, but finding one. And so, just, going through, and I think, there's an element of understanding that there's only so much that we can do on our own.
Mhm.
And we have to recognize that at the point that um it's still becoming tough, that means that we need additional help.
Mhm.
And, to start now, whether that be through referrals, whether that be through just doing a lot of research, there's a lot of tools and resources out there that allow you to really go into your deep personal needs as it relates to what type of therapist you're looking for, whether
Right.
they're spiritual based, whether they are married, whether they are, a
Mhm.
father, parent. Like, it's a lot of different things that allow you to kind of figure out, how can I find the right person that I feel that can connect with me? Are they black? Right. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
be honest, that's probably one of the number one when I'm looking at a therapist. Like, I want to talk to a black therapist, right? And
Yeah.
so that's a prerequisite for me.
Right.
And so going through that process right now, and having, you know, intro conversations and trying to figure out if this the right way to go.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten there yet, but it's a process, and I am, personally going down it because,
Yeah.
as we're continuing to go in this COVID world, and the pandemic is somewhere. I don't know if it's past, or I
Yeah.
can't really describe it, right? and
New
we
world.
have more, yeah, right, and we have more time to sit in these spaces at home or
Yeah.
remote, and just we with our thoughts, we're
Hmm.
with our minds, and it's just so much that's just we have to unpack, not only individually but as a community. As
Right.
a community, we have to unpack so much around how we see our relationship with not only ourselves, but our relationships, with our fellow brothers and sisters, right? Our
Yeah.
relationships, with the people that we interact with every day. We have that's another situation that we have to kind of resolve, and we have to have that
Yeah.
discussion and figure out a way to have that discussion.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I think the way that everything has kind of changed over the few years,
Mm,
and all of the internal struggles we have to change with it. What you were just saying, being stuck with our thoughts, that hit me because working from home, it definitely takes away all that light conversation you have that kind of fills up your
yep.
day, grabbing
Yep.
some water or coffee from the, common space, or even office buildings. You have people that work in the office that, you say hi to, you say this. And now it's funny because I have found myself talking more and more to the grocery checkout people. Like, hey, how's your day going? What's new with you?
Me too.
Because I don't have that light conversation anymore with my colleagues. But again, we all try in different ways,
Yeah.
and to chat. And I know our marketing team for sure gets to hear sometimes little things, um,
Yeah.
throughout
Yeah.
the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. I want to say, well, kind of one or 2 points is that, one for the entrepreneurs, right? Do everything that you can. I think early as you can, even if you've been doing this 10, 15 years, start today,
Yeah.
right? I would recommend going down this process, and I'm going down, right,
Yeah.
as it relates to finding someone to talk to, not just a coach for the business side, but the to understand the other elements, because it's not an easy job, and understanding, how much weight that you have to carry all the time, and
Yeah.
and work through. Um, and many people still have other full-time jobs on the side of that, and so
Mhm.
make sure that as you're starting this journey, or even now, go get some assistance to help think through what's happening in your life, and what's going on. It's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing that we should shy away from.
Mhm.
It is something that ultimately in the long term is going to give that longevity, because the one thing that I say you can control in every situation is your mind, your mindset. Sometimes that can be a little difficult because we start to suppress things, we start to control it in an unhealthy way. And so
Yeah.
how do we begin to have those discussions more and more, and know that it's okay,
Yeah.
right, to
Yeah.
have those discussions.
I completely agree. I think that the hardest part sometimes is when you get so low, how
Mm.
to lift yourself up. So what can, I guess, outside of people of color and minorities, how, I guess, with this mental health awareness month, how can we, as just an entire community, a collective community, how could we best support each other, you think?
Yeah. Look, the first thing is, come with the come to listen. We need to listen. We need to do a lot more listening to each other.
Mhm.
And I mean, when I say listen, I mean listening with the intent to listen, right? Not trying to provide advice, not trying to provide, hey, this is how I would do it. We need to have more discussions to where we're able to listen, empathize with each other, understand that the situation that someone has gone through is the sum of who they are today, and really try to do all that we can to help encourage them to go get the help, right,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
they need to get, right. Sometimes it's almost like you know you could think about it, but then, like, if your best friend tells you, it's probably have a different impact. If
Yeah.
somebody close to you has said, it has a different impact, because now you're saying to yourself, man, they must recognize that I'm going through, which means I'm showing something, or something is going, I need to go get this fixed, because if they recognize it, other people
Yeah.
recognize
Yeah.
it. And so that's the first thing I would say.
Yeah.
Making sure that um we push for not only individual kind of taking care of ourselves, but
Yeah.
also within the organizations, right, that we
Right.
work on a day-to-day basis. How do we hold those organizations accountable? How do we make sure that they're providing the resources, right? We spend, at the point now with remote work, it's kind of blurry as far as how much time we work now.
Right.
But even in the office, right, 10 hours, like you're spending a large part of your day at work. And so holding that place accountable as it relates to, a lot of my brain power, a lot of the things that I'm dealing with, getting assistance from them and helping you figure out how to best, what
Yeah.
resources can they help provide, right, to
Right.
to take care of some of these things, because in many cases work is a cause of a good bit of this stuff.
Yeah. Work, beer, all of that, finances.
All of it, right?
Yeah.
Money, healthcare.
Yeah.
There's so much that's happening
Yeah.
on the healthcare side of stuff.
Yeah.
Women's health, mental health, as we get into, everything that's just going on in our world today, making sure that we are pushing for healthcare and accessibility. Even with insurance companies, there's still many that don't provide significant coverage for therapy, that don't
Right.
provide a lot of different resources. You have EAP, and they have times where you can call a line and get 24-hour help, and then
Yeah.
they'll refer you, but the coverage is not where it needs to be. It's nowhere where it needs to be,
Yeah.
when we think about the amount of help that we need, as a community and as a whole. And so
Yeah.
how do we make sure that as we're going through our daily lives, look at what's happening in healthcare, look at those laws around, providing and mental health and accessibility, and understand that this is something that we have to advocate for right now, because with the path that we're going down, we don't know what's going to happen and what's going to be available to us, in the coming months and years. And so making sure that we continue to push that message now and continue
Yeah.
to figure out how do we get the best out of, the healthcare system today is a must. It's a
Yes.
must.
Yes. Yes. It sounds like the underlying thing we can all do is just ask questions, ask questions to people, around us, just, whether we're trying to check in on someone, whether we're trying to poke the healthcare system, poke the structures that may
Hmm.
be that make decisions that affect all of us. Like, we need to be asking questions, and I think it's happening. And if everybody really joins in and knows how to check on each other and that sort of thing, it can really help. It's not a cure, but it can really just like help in that way of support, and that way of saying, I see you.
Yeah.
I recognize healthcare coverage covering therapy. I recognize a colleague that may be having a tough time, whatever it may be. I've realized even myself, you just have to kind of always approach things from a curiosity standpoint, because
Yeah.
none of us have all the information. None of us have all the answers. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, that it sounds like, asking questions is the one thing we can do for each other, and to kind of help strengthen help strengthen the community.
Yeah. And the last thing I add here, is that I read this book last year,
Mhm.
called, My Grandmother's Hands. My Grandmother's Hands.
Yeah.
And a really, really great book. But as you know, we think about trauma, when we think about, and it's called mental health, right? The mind, we think about it, but there's also that stress in your body.
Mhm.
And it is in my grandmother's hand, it talks about, you know him looking at his grandmother's hand, and it's a lot around like how trauma is passed down.
Mhm.
And we
Generational
understand that
trauma.
generational trauma, right?
Yeah.
That's not just in the head, but in the body, in the mind, the spirit, and all the different places. And so we have to really go out and even like even if this is a first step, research what is mental health, how it impacts our lives, what are the different signs, the elements, depression, anxiety, stress. When we get into these things, like what is that? Because as a community, there's been so much that we've gone through in the past, right, across the entire BIPOC community, to where
Yeah.
we're carrying things that we don't know. We're
Oh, yeah.
carrying trauma. We're carrying stress. We're carrying something that my ancestors, my great grandma might have, something that's inside of us, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's that we're carrying this stuff and we don't know it. And so,
Yeah.
how do we go out and really, talk through that? I personally think every, black person and person of color should have a therapist, because there's just so much that's in that body, in the history,
Oh, yeah.
in our genes and our cells, that we don't even know sometimes. And
Yeah.
so
There
it's
is science to that. Yeah.
it's really understanding kind of that overarching, that understanding about this topic,
Yeah.
and really doing everything that we can to understand that we only get one shot at this life.
Yeah.
Theoretically, we only get one shot, one body, one mind, and we want to make sure that we take care of it and we give it the attention that it needs. And if we have a healthy mind, we have a healthy body, we're able to show up for all those different people that are in our lives every day, our family,
Mm.
our kids, at work, our friends. We're able to show up because we're present in the moment. We're healthy not only externally but also internally as well.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I would leave with, is just really just taking that time to understand, learn more, dig deep. If you have any other book recommendations, share. I love going through and reading it. You have apps like Headspace, you have apps like Calm, you have other avenues to where you can go down and get into communities, right, to where y'all can have live discussions about these topics. You have the community that you may have on the spiritual side. And so just continue to learn, continue to reach out, continue to share, because as you share your story, as you share the things that you've been through, you're going to give other people the power to share their stories and feel comfortable
Mhm.
sharing their stories and feel comfortable taking a step
Mhm.
forward in this journey that they probably wouldn't have taken if you didn't come out and share what you've been through.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Very, very well said, Cedric. Thank you
Mhm.
for joining in this conversation on this Friday morning,
Yep.
because this is such an important topic. I know we could probably talk for hours and hours about our
Yep.
experiences, my experiences finding
Yep.
therapy with the 6 cities I lived in 6 years.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you for that. And with this month and every month forward, we just need to really be mindful of ourselves and our surroundings and the people around us. So super, super important advice that you're giving out to the community, and hopefully if it resonates with one person, hey, then this was more than worth it. Resonated with me, so
Oh, definitely.
I
Look, definitely,
appreciate
definitely,
it.
definitely.
Yeah,
Please share. Look, I'm
yeah,
not saying that, hey, anybody have to share, like go deep into it in the comments, but hey,
yeah,
please share how have
yeah,
you dealt with, if you can, right? If you would like to,
yeah.
share how you've handled your mental health, right? Give
Right,
other people the ability to have different options, right, so that they can
right.
help themselves, right? Every story, every thing that we share is going to help somebody, whether we know it or not. And so please do, in the
Completely.
comments, please share. We'll have other resources coming from the Jump Recruits team. I know we have a lot of resources as it relates to stress, trauma. I have some personal stories as it relates to the fear of failure, that I can talk through, that,
Yes.
going through some of those challenging times. So you can all go to the vault, or that website, jumprecruits.com, to just see more of that comment, to sign up to join our community, where we're able to have these discussions kind of, I want to say, a little bit off the grid, right? Not, in a community that's safe, in a community to where people can share really in depth what they're going through, and then get help from the community, get
Yes.
resources from the community. And so, that's what we're doing and what we're on a mission on at Jump Recruits. And it's something that as we just move forward in life, right? It's just about doing community together, doing life together, and being able to help each other in a time of need. So visit jumprecruits.com, for more of those resources, or reach out to myself and or Aisha.
Or
We'd
me.
love
Yep.
to have deeper conversations and share, and go from there.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Well, we will talk with you guys soon. And like Cedric said, stay tuned for all the resources. We're getting more of our team to come to be sharing, and we're going to definitely have more resources, videos, articles. Everything's coming for you guys.
Awesome, awesome. Well,
Yeah.
look, everybody, have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Catch you all next time.